Hello, 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 and welcome back or welcome to. We have our live discussion of Kate Morton's The Clockmaker's Daughter. Now, I know typically we're the last Tuesday of the month, but this was a 500-page book, so we needed a little extra time to read it. So I apologize for the delay if anyone was ready to discuss last week. But the majority of us needed a little bit more time. So thank you for your patience there. But yes, this evening we will be discussing Kate Morton's The Clockmaker's Daughter, which was my pick for my birthday month. So per the usual, Laura and I pick out books in the months of May and July, which are our birthday months, to discuss as opposed to doing polls and letting you guys pick. But with August being neither of us' birthdays, we will have a new poll for our September book. But I just wanted to share with you once more, in case you didn't see it in our last live, which was our new project release. In August, we will be reading the summer book by Tove Jansson. And the live discussion that will go along with that will be on Tuesday, August 29th at 8 p.m. So if you are interested in reading that book, it is a shorter read. So you should be able to get through it pretty quickly, as opposed to this month's 500-page book. So we'll be reading that in August. If you need access to it, you can get it on Hoopla if your library has that, on audio, and that's how I will be reading the book. So yeah, that's going to be our August read. So before we get into our live discussion of The Clockmaker's Daughter, we will actually talk about the September reads that will be set up in a poll for you to select from, and we'll see what we'll be reading in September. So I'll let Laura go ahead and talk about that.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Again, so for August this month, we're reading the summer book, which is short. This is 170 pages with illustrations and spacing, so nice and short. And then for September, everything we have here is historical fiction set in and around the American Civil War. So our first pick was a pick by Kim, the lovely Kim, and this is The Yellow Wife by Sadika Johnson. And it's roughly 288 pages, so shorter. Everything here is like under 400 for sure. Okay, here we go. Born on a plantation in Charles City, Virginia, Phoebe Dolores Brown has lived a relatively sheltered life. Shielded by her mother's position as the estate's medicine woman and chair the master, she got apart from the others on the plantation, belonging to neither. She had been promised freedom on her 18th birthday, but instead of the idyllic life that she imagined with her true love, Essex Henry, Phoebe is forced to leave the only home she has ever known. She unexpectedly finds herself thrust into the bowels of slavery at the infamous Devil's Half Acre, a jail in Richmond, Virginia, where the enslaved are broken, tortured, and sold every day. There, Phoebe is exposed not just to her jailer's cruelty, but also to his contradictions. To survive, Phoebe will have to outwit him, and she soon faces the ultimate sacrifice. So that is The Yellow Wife by Sadika Johnson. Looks cheery. And then next up, we have Balm by Dolores Perkins Valdez. The Civil War has ended, and Madge, Sadie, and Hemp have each come to Chicago in search of a new life. Born with magical hands, Madge has the power to discern others' suffering, but she cannot heal her own damaged heart. To mend herself and help those in need, she must return to Tennessee to face the women healers who rejected her as a child. Sadie can commune with the dead, but until she makes peace with her father, she too cannot fully engage her gift. Searching for his missing family, Hemp arrives in this northern city that shimmers with possibility, but redemption cannot be possible until he is reunited with those taken from him. In the bitter aftermath of a terrible bloody war, as a nation as a divided nation tries to come together once again, Madge, Sadie, and Hemp will be caught up in a desperate, unexpected battle for survival in a community desperate to lay the pain of the past to rest. So that is Balm. And the very last one is, I should say Balm is roughly 300 pages. So not too bad. And then our very last one is The Spy Mistress by Jennifer Chiaverini. This is the longest book at 368 pages for the hardcover. So under 400 for everything this month. Okay. Based on a true person, which is kind of cool. Born to slaveholding aristocracy in Richmond, Virginia, and educated by Northern Quakers, Elizabeth Van Lew was a paradox of her time. When her native state seceded in April of 1861, Van Lew's convictions compelled her to defy the new Confederate regime. Pledging her loyalty to the Lincoln White House, her courage would never waver, even as her wartime actions threatened not only her reputation, but also her life. Van Lew's skills in gathering military intelligence were unparalleled. She helped to construct the Richmond Underground and orchestrated escapes from the infamous Confederate Libby prison under the guise of humanitarian aid. Her spy ring's reach was vast, from clerks in the Confederate War and Navy departments to the very home of Confederate President Jefferson Davis. Although Van Lew was inducted posthumously into the Military Intelligence Hall of Fame, the astonishing scope of her achievements has never been widely known. In Chiaverini's riveting tale of high-stakes espionage, a great heroine of the Civil War finally gets her due. So, there we go. They all sound interesting. They'll all be a little sad, but that's okay. So those are up for September.
Yeah. So we'll have that up on our community tab for voting. I know last time I totally went right through my skull. I totally forgot about it. So I appreciate y'all bearing with me. It's been crazy. Cannot believe that Little Bear is sleeping right now. So we're going to try to get through this whole discussion without him screeching. Mm-hmm. He's been pretty good about it. So I'm kind of thrilled that he's sleeping right now. So wanted to say hello to everyone. Hi, Andy. Nice to see you again. Allie, always a pleasure. Yes, it sounds like you're super thrilled about that. So I'm super thrilled for us because it should be a good book. Oh, good. You've read that. Nice. And do a bit of spycraft. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I think it's a great grouping of books. So I'm excited to see what comes through. And I'm sure whichever one does, it'll be a fantastic read. Mm-hmm. So let's kind of discuss Clockmaker's Daughter. And before we even get into this, I do have to say, I'm not very keen on the discussion questions that were in the back of the book. So we're kind of hodgepodging some questions for today, which we typically do. I usually just don't say it, but I'm going to say it tonight. We're going to be hodgepodging a few questions just because the questions in the back of the book are, I feel, a little bit too specific for an hour-long discussion. So let's jump right in, do what we usually do, which is rate this book. So in a rating scale of 1 to 5, 5 being amazing, what would you rate this book? Let us know in the comments, and we will let you know what we thought of the book. This 500-page poem.
Yeah. What did you think, Dani?
I was going back and forth a lot. So I read this book physically at first. So I probably read about 100 pages physically. And then when I realized that it was really taking me forever to read it, I switched over to audio. And though I liked audio, I feel like there is just way too many timelines and too many riffs in timelines that I am so utterly confused about a lot of things that have happened. Or maybe not has happened in this book, that I would have to say overall I think if I would be able to properly have read it, like stayed physically reading it and been able to visually see all of the time changes and people changes and everything, I think I'd probably give it a solid 4. Me just having read it on audio, like very, very hard for me to follow. So I would say as an audio, being an audio read, a 3, because I could not follow anything very closely. And I still don't know if I know what happened at the end or if it was meant to happen at the end. I don't know. But I would say if I were to have physically read it and been able to stay on task, a solid 4 for sure. I really liked that there was a mystery throughout. I like ghost stories. And I really enjoyed the Birdie character. I liked the way that Morton kind of set up this narrator to be omniscient, but also part of everyone's story because she was always there. So I really liked that. I really liked that character a lot, even though it's so apart from everything. But yeah, I had a terrible time following along with the audio. So that kind of stunk for me. But seeing as this is such a long book, I really highly doubt I'm going to reread it, which is really sad. I might keep it just in case, in 10 years I decide to reread it, but like chances are is I'm not going to.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Well, to no one's surprise, I didn't finish it. I will say I have not read anything else really in July. I read one book, which was a reread, and that was like finished an audiobook I have been listening to since January.
I think you froze
so
there
yeah,
for
I have not read anything
portion
this month. I have been trying, and like I just paused just in case.
okay.
But yeah, I just really have not read anything. I can't keep my brain on anything. And like I'll go to bed on Kindle too. So I was trying to read it in bed, which is normally when I get a kickstart on stuff. And I would read what I thought was like a half an hour or something. And I thought, okay, this should be 30 to 40 pages, right? It's like 7 pages in this book. I don't know what kind of time thing is happening, because I worked on this all month at night and I just didn't get anywhere. So I officially am a fifth of the way through it. However, read summaries and reviews, so I knew what was happening and like I wouldn't feel spoiled. I spoiled it for myself. And this seems hella confusing. Like you said, I like the idea of Birdie, or whatever her name is, being there and like observing everybody and like having that narrative carry through because she's watching everybody. Like I like that idea, but I feel like maybe this should have been 2 books, and like she could have taken the Birdie character and like made a secondary book that was all like the other timelines that filter through, like all the World War stuff and everything else. Like I think that would have made more sense, and also would not have been this big bunker, to like keep having to add characters and timelines to go through. Like it just seems like so much. So I will finish this. I think I'm getting my reading mojo back. But now, like it's good, it's fine, but it's not. There I go again. Am I back now?
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. It's me. That's the problem. Taylor Swift. Hi, it's me. But I will finish it. It's my first one, but 2. I really do like her style of writing. It was a little different. But I just got to get my brain back. I don't know where it went, but yeah.
I don't think it's
feel
just
free to spoil
you.
Everything, talk about everything. Everyone chat about everything.
I don't think it's just you. I think I think this kind of
like,
makes people, yeah. So looking at everyone else here, it looks like Allie thinks it was well written, but for the plot lines and pacing, she goes for a weak 3.5, which I definitely agree with. Andy says a 3 for her. Second time reading it, first time was on audio. This time did both. Worst Morton. Wow.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's a bold statement. I love all of her other books. This one just could not hold my interest. You know, and I feel like I remember you saying that in the Voxer group. Someone said that. Maybe it was you, Andy, about not being able to hold your interest. And I agree to that to a certain point. For me, I didn't have a problem with the book holding my interest. I had a problem with the book, like, for me, figuring out what was going on. Like, where are we? Because I wasn't physically reading it. Especially because, so you had chapter titles and then you just had numbered chapters, like Roman numerals or whatever. But then within those chapters, they were split timelines. So it was too confusing to me. It was just too much. Always go with your gut, Allie.
Yeah.
It's never too harsh. It's your own opinion. So this is an auto by author. Oh, very good. But this was yeah. This was my first Kate Morton, and I remember when I picked this up from the thrift store, because as you all know, I really only buy books from the thrift store. I remember I was like, oh, I have to buy this one because this is a very popular author. And I had never heard of it. Or I'd never heard of this author, but I remember thinking, like, I feel like I know this title. So when I bought it, I was under the impression that it was going to be this awesome book. And when we announced it, we did have a few of our followers say, oh, that's such a good book. And the whole time I was reading it, I was like, I can see how this is a good book. I can see how this is a very interesting story, influential story. But at the same time, like, it was so convoluted in its structuring of these timelines that it was so hard to, like, how do these intersect? Why does this make any, like, why does this matter? And it really doesn't even happen until the, like, third section that even anything starts to intertwine, where you're like, okay, now I understand why they're saying this, or I understand why this person was here, because it's like, why, like, it took that much of the book. And realistically, the, like, now timeline is so, like, it doesn't need to be there. It's redundant. It's like, you could have just had all of the regular timeline be there, or all of the old timeline, and had the 1960s or 1950s, 40s, whatever, be the regular timeline. Because what was the point? What was the point of the now timeline? I don't, and unless I missed something, which I feel like I missed a lot of things, because I'm going to have a lot of questions out there for y'all. And Andy is going to be the best one to answer because she's read it twice. Right. But, like, I have no idea how Birdie became a ghost. I have no idea how, like, where the diamond is now. Like, I feel like Tip has it, but I don't understand how Tip has it, because I thought that the other lady had it. So she must have... I'm so confused. I have no idea. So in the comments, please answer me. How did Birdie become a ghost? Why is she a ghost? And so so Birdie's whole existence just is she's a ghost. That's it. That's all. No explanation of, like, why she is a ghost and how she became a ghost and where's her body. Because as far as I could tell, no one knows what happened to her. So I must have missed that in the audio, because last thing I saw was that the guy came, who was her brother in the whole stealing thing, And then Lucy went and hid in the wall. And that's it. I don't know. I don't know what happened to her. So please, in the comments, let me know what happened to Birdie and how she's a ghost.
I think there is a small cemetery on the grounds.
Yeah.
That's like old when she was there. So maybe like her body was ditched there. Like that's just sort of my thought. Like because there is this little cemetery, maybe where she is. But again, I did not read.
I don't get it. I'm so lost.
Yeah.
And it's really because I did it on audio. It was just too much. Jessica is here. Hi, Jessica. Wasn't able to read it. Did you already choose the one for next month? Yes. So for next month is the summer book. And it is by Tove Jansson. And the live discussion will be on Tuesday, August 29th. It's really a short read, so you can probably get it done over a weekend. So we are excited for you to join us if you so choose to. Let's see here. Oh, someone probably already answered her too. Let's see here. Laura, page turner, finished a few days ago. So good. Short too. There you go. Yeah. I think whenever you need to get your mojo back, you just need to read a bunch of short things. And then boom.
I know. I do have a couple of like it's 11 and 13, 11 and 12 or 12 and 13 of one of my favorite manga series. So like I could just
there you go.
get those back into it again, but
yeah.
I pick it up and I'm like, oh, I got other stuff to do. I just keep doing their stuff. It's terrible.
So apparently reading it physically doesn't help either. Yeah. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Andy mentioned that too, because when I was reading this, like trying to read it, and again, my brain is not here, but I kept looking at the chapters like, wait a second, I'm in chapter 3. Why are there Roman numerals? What's happening? Like, and I kept flipping around and I could not understand what was happening. I thought, just forget it. Just keep going, Laura. Like, but it's weird. It's weird.
Yep. Let's see. Andy has read all 7 of her books. You go, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Just did her new release too. All 4 or 5 stars. I would check my Goodreads, but it's gone. That's half of it. In another language. Allie. I left a brief for me message in Voxer about how Morton seems like she couldn't decide if Birdie's story was on the point or the history of the house, and the artist was the point, and kept flip-flopping. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
Because especially towards the end, where it really was like Birdie heavy and then Radcliffe heavy, it was like, whose story is this? And they're in the story together, but it wasn't enough to really understand them at all. Like collectively, you just knew that they were romantically involved. That's really it. And that they were going to like run away together or something, which goes to your point previously, Allie, that this book really was reminiscent of the Lauren Willig That Summer that we read back in January, which is very true because we have an artist and his muse and then them wanting to run away together. Everyone always wants to come to America. Guess what? There's nothing good here either. People don't find love here either. But it is the thing to do, I guess. But yes, very reminiscent. But I feel like for me, reading farther into the book, it kind of went away from That Summer. Just because in That Summer, I feel like you really focus on the love story, whereas in this book, like they really didn't. In this book, it was more just like a constant rendition of events. Like, this is what happened during this time era. And then it like flips to something else and it's like, then this is what happened to this character, which ties back to this. And then this is what happens to this character that ties back into this. So I didn't feel like there was really a love story in this one, which is fine. Like, I wasn't looking for a love story. But I don't know what I was looking for in this. I don't know, like, what was the story? Like, what was the point of this book? It's called The Clockmaker's Daughter, which is Birdie, the ghost, who is like talking about all of these different people that she's watching. And then she's also talking about what happened to her-ish, kind of, without actually saying anything that happened to her. So it's very confusing as to, like, what is this book supposed to be about? So what is this book supposed to be about?
Can I ask you guys? Yeah. So does Elodie end up getting married to what's-his-face at the end?
I don't think so.
I don't even know her fiance's name.
But it doesn't, I don't even think it resolves that. I think it just, like, ends. Because I feel like she was, like, talking to Jack or something. And that's just the end of that's just the end of her chapter. It's so confusing. Like, I don't even feel like Elodie's chapter, I don't even feel like her story is, like, has any closure. Because she is just... I don't think it even... I think she just stays with him. Yeah, chapter 30, I think it is. See, I bet I couldn't even... You can skim faster than I can. Go to chapter 30 and check it out. I'm going to get through these comments here because I don't think my brain recorded enough information from this book because I feel like I missed a lot of stuff. But yeah, you skim that chapter and I'm going to come up and get through these comments because I missed a bunch. So Allie says, spoiler, Birdie is a ghost because Lucy hid her in the priest hole and then was unconscious for several days, during which time Birdie was trapped in the... How did she become unconscious? I don't... See, that's what I thought. I thought that she was in the priest hole, but Lucy was also in the priest hole. And I thought what happened is that Birdie put Lucy in the priest hole and said, don't come out until Edward comes to find you. And then she went to go and figure out what was happening. So I must have heard that incorrectly. And they both were in priest holes. And what? Birdie hit her head when she went in? Or lost consciousness because lack of oxygen? I'm confused.
So did Lucy...
So her body's in one of these priest holes?
Right. So I think if I'm reading that right, then... So Birdie's body is in a priest hole, like lost to time, essentially. And Lily, who shoved her in there, was in a wall and lost air for a couple of days and then got out and forgot to get her out or couldn't get her out of the wall of the priest hole. I'm thinking of an oubliette. It's not an oubliette. It's a priest hole. It's not the same thing, Laura.
So Lucy
was in the wall.
Was unconscious.
That's what it sounds. I think.
Because they were questioning her about what happened, and she couldn't remember, and then she found the diamond in her pocket, which was the whole point of why everyone thought that Birdie stole it or whatever and ran off with it, basically stole it, and then Lucy was too embarrassed or whatever to say anything, that she didn't say anything about it, and so that's how the story goes. Okay. So wouldn't have... So okay. So we're not going to have any real questions in this discussion, clearly, because Dani's just going to have a bunch of what questions.
Yeah. I read that chapter, by the way. It didn't really help anything.
Okay. So then if Tip in the World War II time era, if he was talking to Birdie, because he's good friends with Birdie, the ghost, she told him about the priest holes or the hidden things in the wall. Wouldn't he have found her body and then been look, Mom, this is Birdie's body? You know what I mean? Did I miss that? Did that not happen? Because that should have happened. Because she kept asking who this birdie was. So, like, wouldn't that have happened too? So, like, her body was discovered and then, like, the big, long time mystery would have been solved? I don't know. Ariane, I really hope that you're not still here because you got some major spoilers happening if you plan to read this book. If I had known that there was a ghost, I wouldn't have bought it. It has a ghost, but not a ghost story. It has missing jewels, but isn't a crime story. You know, yeah, I think that's accurate. Because, yeah, there is a ghost, but is it a ghost story? I don't know that I would say that it's a ghost story. But in the very beginning, I'm pretty sure it starts out with Edward wanted to buy this house because it was haunted.
Mm-hmm.
So it was haunted before Birdie was even a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought, so the way that they describe it in the beginning, like where there's like warm spots and cold spots and all this stuff, I'm thinking like The Others, you know, like Nicole Kidman, that movie. Like that was my total vibe reading the book. And every time Birdie was happening, like that's all I could think of. And then when you have the timeline with Juliet and the kids, Tip being a small child at the time, and she sees the guy in like the army fatigues or whatever, and he's like waving or something, I was totally like, that's a ghost. And then nothing happens from that. And I think it's just a regular person that just happens to be wearing something that looks like army fatigue. I have no idea. But I was like, this is really lackluster for me because I keep thinking it's going to go one way and it doesn't. Things aren't getting explained. I don't know what's happening. When Lucy wakes up, she is confused about what happened to her and is therefore swayed by the explanation of her disappearance given by the police. I.e., she is a thief and has run off with a diamond, not stuck in a priest hole dying because you didn't go and get her. So not only did Lucy kill Birdie, she stole the diamond. And then set up shop as a school where she then killed a child, not like directly, but a child died. No wonder she just let Ada keep the diamond. She's like, this is cursed. No, she was just like, this is evidence. Anywho. So Birdie came there because she thought it was haunted by children, but it wasn't. No. Mm-hmm. And didn't she go there? She went there as a model, like because it was like a big thing where they were just all a bunch of artists and their corresponding model. And she was Edward's model because didn't they meet because she was like grifting him as far as trying to steal stuff because that was her whole thing with Mrs. Mac. Mrs. Mac. Is that a thing? No.
Mary Mac, yeah.
Mary Mac. There you go. Miss Mary Mac. Okay. That's all I know of that nursery rhyme. Google search says Lily, the one-time pickpocket Birdie, made a deal with one of her old friends who subsequently killed Fanny, stole the diamond, and together with her ran off to America. But she didn't. She died in a priest hole. No. Okay. So Lily, the one-time pickpocket Birdie.
Because Birdie took Lily's name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What? Say it again. Lily.
Birdie took Lily's name.
Yes, Birdie took Lily's name. Yeah.
Lily is a person. Yeah.
Made a deal with one of her old friends who subsequently killed Fanny. But did she make a deal with her friend to kill Fanny? Like, did she do that? Because she doesn't seem like the kind of person that would do that. I feel like, and again, I must have not heard anything correctly. I feel like there was a plan set in place before she fell in love with Edward. And then she obviously was just going along with the romantic ride. But her schemer friend was like, no, we're still riding this out. and that's when he showed up and then basically was like, we're stealing shit, and then killed Fanny.
Yeah.
Accidentally or purposely, I don't know. Because I think she was killed with that showpiece. It wasn't even like a gun that you would typically use to like use. It was like a on the wall kind of thing. But anywho, now I digress. Goodreads is a nightmare right now. They've been working on it, but it's not improving. I didn't have any issues, thankfully, looking up the 3 books that we needed to show, but I do not go on Goodreads very often, but yes, I feel like it's constantly like something is a myth with that. So, hear ya, heard. All of Morton books 8 are about a house or place, really. So that's what you're saying. So this book is about the house.
Well, that's
okay. So it's about Birchwood Manor. So you're saying that that's what the book is about. Well, then I definitely give this a 3-star because if that's the case, I feel like it didn't do a very good job of that because it's too character centric. Because you're doing a lot of timelines with a lot of people and what they feel, and I'd rather know more about the house specifically. So I feel like we should have had like timeline from the priest holes. We should have had timeline from the original like ghost story, the children's story, instead of it just being a story. Unless it was, and I just couldn't hear it because I did the audio. So anywho, let's see.
It is, and right, because I think houses, but I think it's strange then to start, like the first thing you introduce to is Elodie in the current timeline, super far away from the house. Like, start in the house, start with Birdie. Don't start with this rando stranger who's nowhere near anything and doesn't know anybody about whatever. Like, that seems like a weird place to start.
Which then does not get resolved.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
We have permission to hold you accountable. No. You do you. You whatever you're available to do, that's perfect. Mm-hmm. Also, why is Birdie being the daughter of a clockmaker anyway relevant?
I know.
Nailhead Alley, you get a gold star. Exactly.
I don't get it.
What does it matter? She mentions it like 4 times.
Yeah, there's got to be something that explains why this is important, why it's called the Clockmaker's daughter, because that should be a big clue, right?
Yeah, like, did she hide the diamond in a clock because she knows how clocks work? No, she didn't have the diamond ever. She just saw it once and was like super happy to have it, and then it was gone. So yeah, it's just, do we ever find out what her real name is? Someone in the comments help me, because I tried to listen real hard for that because I was really interested. And yeah, no, I don't know what her real name is.
Whose real name did you say? Sorry, honey.
Birdie's. What's Birdie's real name?
Oh, I'll try and reference. I'm sure someone will have already answered by this time.
Yeah. Oh, like a reference to the book Moving Through Time. Okay. That's a good idea. Clockmaker's daughter. There is a timeline, so I do still have the physical book, even though I didn't read it physically. In the back of my book, there is a timeline. It says chronology of Birchwood Manor. And it literally goes from 1954 to 2017. So we have in 1854, Edward Radcliffe, 14 years old, is sent to stay with his grandparents in Wiltshire for the summer, intending to raise a ghost. One dark night, he instead discovers Birchwood Manor. So that's where the ghost story starts, is because he is obviously fascinated in that kind of stuff. Then in 1860, he is now a successful artist, purchases Birchwood Manor, a house on the Upper Thames. Now, so 6 plus, so he is 20? He was 20 years old, and he was a successful artist and purchased Birchwood Manor. I suppose 20 back then was like the new 40, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And if he was attached loosely to the pre-Raphaelites, I mean, he could have just been painting similar things at just the right time and like been around the right sort of people, even though he wasn't officially part of that group. He could have just been like lucky, essentially, you know, like.
Yeah. 1862, Frances Brown is murdered in a robbery at Birchwood Manor. Another woman disappears. Birdie?
Yeah.
1882, Lucy Radcliffe inherits Birchwood Manor after her brother's death. So he dies 20 years later. It's made it seem like he died like soon thereafter. Like, so that's very confusing to me now. Okay, so let's talk about Ada for a second. So Ada is the young girl who comes to Birchwood Manor when Lucy Radcliffe has it as a school for girls. And the chapter makes it seem like she drowns in the lake because she has this rivalry with another girl at the school named Charlotte, I believe. And okay, you guys, this is how bad it is. Like, I don't know what kind of pet it was. Like, was it a rat? Was it a cat? I don't know. I'm thinking it was a kitten, but the Charlotte girl gets hold of the kitten and then pretend like she's going to drown it because they have this rivalry, yada, yada, yada. And then you have this image of Ada falling in the lake. She can't swim. She, like, basically floats to the bottom, sees Birdie in the whatever, finds the diamond. Okay, but it makes it seem like she drowns, and you don't find out until many, many chapters later when you see a 50-year-old Ada, right? Sorry, spoiler alert. But then you find out, too, that the other little girl, May, I think her name was May, which was Charlotte's, like, right-hand sassy girl, she actually dies. She drowns because she fell into. Why do we not find out about what happened to prissy little Charlotte? Did she get run over by a car later in life? Did she get cancer? Did she, did someone stab her in a dark alley? Because I believe that's what should have happened. Why isn't Birdie telling us about that?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to reflect on that?
I'm curious about that. Okay, so for the name thing, for Birdie's name, we never know her name.
Okay.
My real name was Beautiful, her father said, but it was the name of a grown-up lady, the sort of a name that wore long skirts and fine silks, but had not the wings to fly. That you were named for your mother's father. It was important you carry something of her family, and that's it. But he calls her Birdie.
Back to these comments that we're missing. We're going to get through them, people. I promise. I'm going to get on these tangents, and you're going to keep answering, and we're going to get through these comments. No worries. Because the story is about the house, the ghost is at the house, so she narrates. So point must be for us to know what has happened through the years at the house. So yes, so as Allie and Andy have so wonderfully pointed out, this is about the house. So I feel like it should have been called Birchwood Manor. Or
Riverton Lane, isn't that her first book?
The Ghost at Birchwood Manor.
One moment.
That would have been a good title, too. The diamond was in the suitcase.
Yeah.
The diamond was in the suitcase. Yeah, wasn't the diamond, though... Do you mean originally, like when it was supposedly stolen? So I thought it was in, like, Lucy's pocket. I thought she, like, found it and then put it on to, like, oh, look it, isn't this pretty? Because she's all about stones and fossils and all that kind of thing. And then realized that she still had it after all said and done. Oh, all this discussion has made me want to further downgrade my rating. Hey, Has that not happened to me almost every single time we have a discussion?
Mm-hmm.
Get with it. And that's okay. Hit in the head. She gets hit in the head? She does? Okay. There are 2 priest holes. Lucy is in one you can open from the inside, and Birdie was in the one that has to be opened from the outside. You're right, because they took a lot of time to describe that. And then when Lucy gets hit in the head, is in her priest hole, gets out, forgets about Lily, Birdie, and so on. There's a bunch of bones. But wouldn't someone find that? Because wouldn't it have smelled? And you know what happens to bodies?
Yeah, maybe everything smelled so bad it just didn't blended in the sun. Was it the summer? I don't know. Like, I'm just spitballing here.
I don't know. I feel like you
would notice it. Like,
yeah. There's no air conditioning and
right. I think this is Kate Morton's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this is her 6th book. This one, and at least 3 of them are directly. It's The House at Riverton, The Forgotten Garden, so place, The Distant Hours, don't know what that's about. Secret Keeper, not sure. And the last one is The Lake House, which again, a place. That also makes sense. So I see, like, totally, Andy, like, I see the house theme and, like, the location theme. But then why? Like, I don't know. That seems real nitpicky. I'm sorry. I thought this was, like, her 2nd or 3rd book, not the 6th book.
Ariane, you read whatever makes you happy.
Don't read
it. If it was me, like, I have an urge to reread this. I really do. I have an urge to reread this because I am so fascinated by all of the intertwining. But when it is all said and done, there is not enough closure in this book for me to be satisfied. So that's why I will not reread it. I know that sounded really crazy. Like, I want to reread this book because I like all the stuff in it. But knowing that I've already gotten to the end and I'm already dissatisfied by the lack of closure in a lot of the timelines, I'm not going to reread it at this time. So if that helps you, if not, that's too bad.
I'll say for myself, I will try to read. Like, I'm going to try to finish this because I do want to see what happens and figure stuff out, even though it seems like ambiguous city, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Lucy found the diamond in her pocket because she had put it in her pocket and was like, oh my God, everyone's looking for this diamond. And all this time it was me. And then she threw it in the river. Yes. And that's how then later Ada, who was the girl at Lucy's school, rescued it from the river because that's what, like, she believes saved her, essentially. Which I'm going to say that Birdie kind of saved her. I bet Birdie kind of saved her. And then I wonder what happened to it. So when she showed it to Lucy, because Lucy was, like, you know, helping her stay alive afterward, you know, whatever. She probably was like, just keep it. I don't want anything to do with that stupid diamond. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. There you go, Ariane. No, pick another Morton. Much better. There you go. Yep, there you go. The Lake House. I wonder if is that the one that it was a movie?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves and Andy B.
Dual timelines coming together.
I could watch that again. I like some Keanu. Who doesn't?
Yeah. I was saved by the blue light stone thing. Yep. And he produces a diamond that she found in the river while driving because she can't swim. Yep. Which, here's my thing. So I was a swimmer in high school. Okay. Let me tell you a little thing about water. So most people float. Mm-hmm. It's very rare that you don't float. And I'm not saying because obviously a lot of people drown. The whole drowning thing is because you're filling your lungs with water, because you're filling your body with something. So I always find it really fascinating that, like, when people are drowning in books, they like immediately just go right to the bottom. Like they're big bricks of people. You really do float for a little bit. You do. And even if you don't know how to swim, you can just float. I mean, I think it's the anxiety of drowning that people drown so frequently, because if you just lay on your back, your body floats unless you are more muscle than fat.
Right. But also some of that, I know you know this too, is like skirts, all the layers of clothing and stuff that can totally drag people down.
Oh
more.
yeah.
They might still, yeah.
Well, it's the thrashing and it's the, and then she even says how her lungs were filling up with water, basically. So she was, it just, there's so many instances that I've read in books where people are like drowning, but they're like literally just, they're like hurtling towards the depths of wherever they are. And I'm like, that, it doesn't happen that fast. Like, that's why people have to put rocks in their clothing to drag them down, because you float. Anywho, I'm not going to argue that, because so many people drowned in shallow water. So I know it's possible, but yeah. Lake House, good one. When she was dead, Birdie returned there because she thought it was haunted. So you think she turned into a ghost because she thought it was already haunted, so she then was able to return? Because usually I feel like when your body is stuck somewhere and you have unfinished business.
Aren't you kind of tethered to that place? Like,
are you tethered to that place? But see, that's just me, like, based on other stories. Mm-hmm. What is it? The unfinished business is some other story that is like, you have to cross over. Oh yeah, Casper. We'll say the book makes for good discussion. It does, and we don't even have any discussion questions up here, so there you go. What? Sobe. Huh? No, I can spell, just can't type on it. Hey, we know it. Yep. We know it. And sometimes you're trying to do it fast, because you're like, oh, they just said that. I don't want to like forget what I'm saying. So don't worry about it.
And like I type too fast for autocorrect, so it goes back and corrects like 6 words previously, and I don't always catch it, which irritates the crap out of me.
Speaking of that, Facebook has like their own little autocorrect in their comment section. And what it does is it like tries to like think about what you're going to say already. So you'll be typing and then all of a sudden it'll just like give you a whole new sentence. And I'll be like, what is that? Why does it say that? Like, I was saying this and now it's saying that. So Facebook shit pisses me off because I did not want it to say, like, I'll be like, congratulations on your, and then it'll be like, new baby with a really cool hairdo. And I'll be like, no, congratulations on graduating. Like, why are you like picking some random thing about, oh, it makes me so mad. Mad. Because then half the time I'm not looking and I just go ahead and send. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't even say what it's supposed to say. Anywho, I digress. Birdie's real name, how do you say that? Albertine Bell?
Albertine.
Because doesn't she sign like her notes BB? Birdie Bell? You're probably right, Allie. You have officially read the book properly.
But that also makes sense for...
What's that?
Yeah, Birdie Albertine, that kind of makes sense too. And if Birdie makes sense, like, to be shortened from Albertine, like, I get where that's from. And also, if she's named after her mother's father, Albert, that makes sense too. I think you're right.
Yep.
Way to go, Allie.
Yes. That's why we read with all of you people, because whatever we miss, you have not missed. So, also, what was the point of Elodie's mom's storyline? Seriously. Yeah. It's so annoying. Because even... So she dies in a car accident, which mid-book, it starts to like make you think like she's having an affair with this violinist. But then I think at the end you find out that she wasn't having an affair, that she was basically just telling this person that she was in love with somebody else? Or was it that she was in love with the violinist, and was Elodie a product of that love affair, and like no one ever told her that she wasn't her father's? See, I'm so confused. So anyone want to answer that? Is Elodie her father's daughter, or is she the love child of these two musical people? And if that's the case, then why doesn't she play any musical instruments?
Mm-hmm.
Saying these are very important questions that need to have answers.
I know at one point she does say she never could live up to her mother's, like, you know, legacy, whatever story. So she never wanted to touch it because it was her mom's thing. So I kind of get that. But yeah, if she's both her parents, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Elodie's mom. I understand that we need to link the house for Elodie, but why spend so much time on the mom being a world-class musician? Yes, and that Elodie's dad is not. Okay, so he's not. So I did hear that correctly. Okay, yes. So, man, this is very much like reminiscent of that summer. And I feel like another book I read. Yeah, I don't know. And they didn't have to even have mother in there, because they could have still tied Elodie through Tip. Because they could have just had him be more relevant in her life. Because he's really the one that was, you know, part of it.
Like there, yeah.
Which, side note, I find it really hilarious that Tip, not a usual name that you hear all the time. I have seen a movie with a character named Tip, and then read a book with a character named Tip, all in the same month.
Weird.
Because my daughter, my little one, she gets really globbed on to certain movies. So right now, she really likes the movie called Home, which is a cartoon movie with Sheldon. What's his name? Oh my God, what is the guy's name? Oh my gosh, I literally...
Sheldon, that's not helpful.
No. Oh my gosh. I feel so terrible for not knowing this, because I see it every day when we watch this movie. But anyways, Rihanna's in it. Steve Martin is another character. But she really loves this movie. It's this little alien, you know, and they invade Earth or whatever. But the little girl's name... Yes, James Parson.
Yeah.
Jim Parsons, yeah. But Rihanna plays this little girl, and her name is Tip, which, okay, like gratuity, Tip, whatever her last name is, Tucci. And then in this book, we have a character named Tip, and I'm like, how is it that in two things I'm doing right now in the same month, there's a Tip character? Weird. Anywho, thank you, Laura, for being honest. I'm not reading it, and this has been so much fun. Because it has been. Anywho, decomposing Purdy. I think it is inferred that Edward immediately shuts up the house after the incident, so no one around notices the odor.
I can get that. And you're welcome, by the way, Ariane.
So it would have to be boarded up for a long time, because that smell would have been there for a long time. But I suppose if he boarded it up and then never went back, and then Lucy inherits it 20 years later when he passes, that would make sense. That would be enough time. So then did she go and try to find her and be like, okay, everybody, so remember when this happened
20 years ago?
You can clearly see that she didn't do it, because here she is where I left her 20 years ago. Sorry. But no, she doesn't have the guts. Instead, she lets little girls walk past her every single day, knowing that her bones are in there all by themselves. Anywho. fell into a rabbit hole of online articles. One says the book shows growth in Morton's writing, but her fans may not love it. Oh, I don't think there's any, like, baby brain. Don't know where that was going.
Doubt?
There you go. There's no doubt that this isn't really great writing. I think, like, as you look at sentence structure, at formatting, at just the language itself, it's beautifully written. The problem is there's too much happening, and that there are whole timelines, whole characters that don't even make sense, that don't belong, that don't add to the story. And the fact that as a reader we can't even decide what the point is of the book, or what point is more important, like, that's a problem. So yeah, the writing is great. It's just not the best altogether. And then it's 500 pages on top of that.
Yeah.
Schnorling ties things up in a boat. This one does not. No, I don't think there's really any closure anywhere. There's no closure for anyone. Very weird.
Different movie. Okay.
Oh, different. Okay. Dang.
Maybe I'll watch The Lake House anyways.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I like that movie. People panic. Non-swimmers do not relax and float. Yeah, no, and I agree. I think it's one of those things where in your head you're thinking, like, do this, and so no, I agree. And that's why I was like, but I know there people drowned. I know. And you have a very specific personal story that is about someone drowning or almost drowning. So I get it. I think what I was meaning to say is when you read a fictional account, sometimes it just seems it's too fast what's happening. Because it's like all of a sudden they're on the bottom of the lake and you're like, but there's more time. There's more that's happening. It's not just like a straight, like, submarine dive to the shallow depths of, I don't know. That's just my opinion on the fictional setting, not what actually happens in real life, because I know it's horrific how many people drown every year. She was a ghost and wanted other ghost friends, I guess. Yeah. Wait a minute. Were there any other ghosts? I don't think there were any other ghosts. However, it made it seem like it because there's like, oh, there's a warm spot here, and there's this here, and there's that here. So it was like, I thought there were more ghosts in the house. Like, there wasn't. It was just her. Elodie's mom was in love with the musician, and he is her dad. The mom told the non-dad that she was pregnant, but he was happy to marry her anyway. Oh, well, isn't that sweet? But if she was in love with the other guy, why didn't she just stay with the other guy? I don't know.
Who knows?
That character didn't matter anyways.
Yeah, like, that makes sense because something her non-bio dad says about like I loved her regardless. I would have married her for any reason, something else. And I thought, well, that's even more reasons for me to think that it's this American guy that's really Elodie's father and that they got married when she was pregnant already.
Yeah.
Like, kind of shotgunny,
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. Huh. Elodie could easily be tied to the house through Tip, even if Mom is just referencing passing when he remembers the story her mom told her about the house when she was young. Oh, yeah, because she has to tell her the story. But yeah, you could still just have referenced that. You could have just said, my mom told me this story once. I'm going to ask my uncle about it.
Yeah.
So her mom died when she was young, but she remembers the story her mom told her, and that gets her interested in Bertram Manor. Right. But again, the whole, like, she's such a great musician and, like, having to find these tapes and yada, yada, yada. The only thing that did was she ended up getting involved with that Caroline, who was a photographer, who then found the photo of her and the violinist at Birchwood. So again, there's so many things that didn't need to be part of there. Yeah.
As someone who's only read a fifth of this, there I am. Hi.
Yes.
Okay,
I can hear you, but there you go.
Okay, as someone who's only read a fifth of this, there is a lot of time spent on her musicianship and what she's playing and specific concert dates and everything. I am really surprised that that essentially means bupkis in the rest of the book, because that should be a bigger thing. Like, I thought music would be coming in other ways, like with other characters throughout it, because it's a lot. And I'm fine with it because I love classical music as a former performer. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that piece. That's a great piece. Oh, I love that location. Like, I'm dorking about this stuff. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be so much fun and like kind of music-y as a side thing. But no, then what's the point? I don't know. Such detail. I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, but that would be enough. I think E can then ask Tip about it. Instead, we get repeated diversions about world-class musician, mom, and a photo. Yep. You got it. Could edit 150 pages easily, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For sure. We were meant to wonder if Ada died too. Yeah. And I was so pissed. And no one has mentioned, like, this Charlotte character yet. Does anyone know? Did she get, like, tailgated or something? Like, she needs to go. She needs to have gotten her comeuppance. Because not only did she try to kill an animal, but she had her best friend killed and tried to kill another girl. So I'm really hoping that she got stuck in a priest hole, because that's really what she deserved. I did find it funny, though, that I felt really terrible when it was Ada that I thought was dead. But then when you find out that it was the other girl that died, I was like, she was part of the whole scheme, so she deserved it. And I was like, and then after I thought that, I was like, oh, it's just a little girl that you just were like, good. I'm glad it was you and not Ada.
Yeah.
You're a total witch is what you are. Yes, we should contact Morton and tell her to rewrite this.
Yeah.
Rewrite it.
You should. Mm-hmm.
What is this?
Yeah.
Cut it out from? Is that from Full House?
Mm-hmm.
Cut it out. Yes. Joey. Or not Joey. The funny one. My God. Yeah, Joey. No? Uncle Joey. And what's the other guy's name? Wow. It's been too long. You're going to cut your star rating as well. Well, we do what we can for you here at DoubleBookedCo.
Have an hour discussion about a book without any real questions, like discussion questions, but a lot of questions like, what?
We just kept rolling. And I appreciate y'all for totally hanging with us, even though we had some crazy questions that weren't really questions. So I apologize if you're watching this in replay and are trying to follow along, which just can't. That is basically our review of the book. Yes.
It is confusing AF.
Can't even follow. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think this might be going into a little free library, because now that we have done our discussion, I'm feeling like I'm not really quite interested in keeping this one. Now, what I will say is I'll definitely try something else of hers, because like I said, the writing was great. The writing was done well. So I feel like Andy has got something going on and knows that they're good books, and which is why she has read all of them. So I definitely, if I see another one of her books, I will definitely pick it up and try it. What do you feel? Do you feel the same?
Well, I've been buying her books since her first book came out, but you'll notice this is my first time reading her, so this is very much a Laura thing. So I'll keep buying them. I think I have 4 or 5 of her books, including this one. And I like to like starting with their first book and going through. Of course, it's not a big deal, like if it's not a series or whatever. So I will for sure go back and read Riverton or House at Riverton or whatever the hell it's called. I'll start there for sure, and I'll read more, absolutely, because like we've talked about too, it's good writing. Like I like this story, and if it was less confusing and it had like half of the characters, I would like it a lot more, even though it is entirely too long. Like, yeah, I will for sure read her again, absolutely. Because also, before we had this as a tweet, you and I were talking about choices for our birthday months earlier this year. I watched a video with Krista from Books and Jams, and she mentioned this book and said that it was her by far her least favorite Morton, and it wasn't really representative of the author. Like it is, but it's not. Like don't start there, it's the worst. So I heard that from her, and I thought, oh, okay, well, whatever, that's fine, it's not that bad, right? And then I happened to bump into a bunch of other people on BookTube randomly talking about this book as well. I mean, it's a 2018 release, it's not like it's new. And they were all recently talking about how this book was not one of her best. It was like her worst one. But like, it still wasn't terrible. It's just not great. So I knew like right away this was not going to be like the best thing ever. But I was hoping they were all wrong and I would really like love it for some reason. It sounds fabulous. But yeah, I will, all this to say, yes, I will for sure read more of hers because I own other stuff of hers as well. And yeah, I'm not against keeping buying her stuff either, because I'm crazy. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which one I would start with. I would probably just be whichever one I find next. But yeah, no, I don't have any others. I only had this one. You lost Laura. Oh, there you are.
Yep, there are two. Do you have any, or just this one?
Just this one.
I couldn't remember.
And if I do have any other ones, it's unbeknownst to me.
Yeah.
I don't think I do. I usually keep the same authors together, and I don't think so. So
mentally, your shelves upstairs, like they're not there. Like it's just this one, but you have rearranged since I've been there last, so I don't know.
I have, and I have like wanting to do it again. I have like this weird. So we're going off on another tangent here. Welcome to DoubleBookedCo. I want to do the colored shelves again.
Yeah.
But I really like. So what I really like about my shelves right now is that they're genre based. So if I'm looking for a mystery, I go to this shelf. I'm looking for a romance, I go to this shelf. Nonfiction, so on and so forth. But back when I had my shelves all done by color, like the colors of a rainbow, I really liked how it looked. Right now, it just all looks like a bunch of books, which is fine because, I mean, hello.
It's a bunch of books.
I don't know. But I feel like what I should do is I need to get all of the books that I have read out of that room and like more in other areas, and I could do the color thing with them. But right now, the way the house is, I don't have the space for that. But yeah, I need to do something different. It's like growing up, my mom was always changing around our living room, like constantly wanting to just change where the furniture was. So like we're always moving stuff around. So I feel like I always have this bug in my ear, like, oh, you should change up your books. Like you need to move them around or whatever. And I don't like that all of my classics are like on the bottom shelf where you can't really see them. I really like to see them more. So I feel like I just need to rearrange my books.
Yeah.
So I might have to do that sometime in the near future. I don't know when, but it'll happen.
Yeah.
So, Andy says The Secret Keeper, Homecoming, and one other in a language she cannot read on Goodreads got 5 stars from her.
Good.
And if we want to read a book about a house through time, suggest The Townhouse.
Oh,
Book 1 of Suffolk's trilogy, Nora Lofts.
I'm gonna unhaul some Nora Lofts books, but it's not that one. It's not The Townhouse.
The writing probably isn't as strong, but
yeah. I'm looking because it should be like next to me on the bed right here. Rearranging my books currently. And oh Lord, it is a project.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing too, is if you do the color, then it's kind of like a crapshoot when you're looking for something because it's not really organized properly. It's color doesn't. What are you looking for? I don't know. It's an orange book.
And a lot of times spines are different colors on the covers too. So like that's not really helpful either for your brain.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for another day. Mm-hmm. I need to, again, side tangent, but I mean, we haven't talked to you guys in a while, so you're welcome. I need to get back on my channel, but I just don't know how to like do the plunge because it's just a lot of work. And I feel like I need to come back with like a Q&A because I haven't done that in a while. And I've got a ton of new subscribers who I'm sure are like, this lady doesn't even do anything on our channel. So I feel like I need to do a Q&A. What do you guys think in the comments? Like, should I come back to Spinelli Speaks with a Q&A? So like, should I post something to get questions and then answer them in a live Q&A? Because I've done that before, but I don't know.
Yep. And then there's me who has filmed over 10 videos and just posted none of them. Like,
I know you're always like, remind me to post this.
Seriously, it's terrible.
I'm like, which one?
Like literally at this point, almost any of them. Every month I've done a weekend vlog for mid-month book bash. I've done a couple.
Well, but like, okay, so here's the thing, Laura.
Yeah.
Dani. Do you say in your mid-month book bash vlogs, do you say today is Friday, June something? Or do you just say today's Friday? Because you could just post it on any mid-month and we would have no idea that it was from 6 months ago.
No, I do say because I'm a ding dong. I'm a ding dong. Also, this weekend is mid-month book bash coming up again. So technically, I should be filming Friday through Monday, right? Like, right? And I probably will, but I probably won't post it again because I don't know. I'm a ding dong again. I just don't get it. And I maybe this is not the greatest way to do my YouTube channel. I don't know. Clearly, I have not posted in like 5 or 6 months. I'm terrible. But like, if I'm distracted by something else, I can't. That's like the last thing. So it just falls off, right? Understandable, but I just can't post. Back? There I'm back. I'm impressed at the levels of like disheveledness I will appear online permanently. Like, can I be honest? I haven't showered since Saturday because I have to like clean my drain. I am wearing a muumuu, you guys. Like, it is terrible. What is wrong with me? But I won't. I don't know. Like I'm a crazy person, and I'm exhausted, and I sleep all the time. Like, my life is not exciting. I don't go anywhere. I don't do things. Like, I stay here and I clean and I watch too much YouTube. Like, is that exciting? I don't know.
Yes, it's very exciting.
Yeah. And thank you, Ariane.
Yes. See.
Thanks, Sandy.
Just post it.
I know. And like, I think what I might do is, I mean, I say this, try and do TBRs again because, oh, thanks, Andy. I love you too. And everybody here. I love you guys. Seriously, truly. I don't stink. Because I don't sweat.
She doesn't. Literally, Laura is the, like,
I don't sweat.
most beautiful, smelliest person. Like, her smell is so good. Every time we hang out, like, because we give each other a big old hug, I'm like, girl, you smell good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
You do. You always smell really
Yeah.
good.
Thanks. I know, and I truly, like, medically do not sweat. It's not great for summer, but I don't sweat. So, like, it's just, I don't know. Anyways, so back to my point. I should start doing TBRs again, because I feel like I have them in my head anyways. I know what I want to do, and like they're kind of short, so I could like film it and then like just like get it up there. That's what she said. But then I don't know if people really want to watch that. I don't know.
I feel like
three of these, Andy.
I feel like what you should do is you should do more lives.
I've never.
What are you doing right now? You're doing it live right now.
And like with me, like I'm not doing a live.
Because then you don't have to worry about editing and dropping and all that stupid stuff. Just do lives.
I know. I still don't know how to edit, so there's that.
Exactly. So you're not missing anything. Just jump on a live. Just be like, here's my live TBR. Then you don't need to worry about screw-ups or anything, because you usually pop through a whole thing anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
All right.
There you go. Live sprints with Laura. And then in between, you can just talk about whatever you need to. Mm-hmm. Or do sprints during mid-month book bash. And in the in-betweens, do your other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Thanks,
it smells really good. Mm-hmm. It's like essential oils or something. I don't know.
And I'm nose blind to it because I've been working with them for 16 years, so I don't notice them anymore. Unless
good.
I don't notice it. But I also
like if I were to smell that smell separately, I'd be like, "Where's Laura?" Because it's like I've only ever smelled that smell with you. Mm-hmm. It's so good. And when you walk in your house,
I have dozens of essential in my living room.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you walk in your house, you can kind of smell it, but there's other like good smells, like essential oil smells,
like books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But when I give you a hug, it smells pretty good.
And when I see you tomorrow, I'm going to really smell like essential oils because my person likes lavender. So I'm going to smell like lavender.
I'm going to smell like breast milk. So enjoy that. Because I too do not get time for showers. So this is what you get. So.
Thanks, Allie. Yeah, I'll look into psyching myself up.
Yeah, if we think about it, everyone, we'll maybe take a picture of each other together because we will see each other tomorrow for a short period of time. But don't get any ideas because we always forget to take pictures when we're together. So, but that being said, we have run our course in our discussion for Kate Morton. You're watching this.
Give you a big hug, and then here's all my crap, and we talk about the stuff, and we just.
Yep, I know you're freezing. I'm going off on other tangents. But I was just closing up for the night. I'm starting to hear. Oh, it's just the bookstore. It says the bookstore. It's a bookstore. That's local. Yeah. But anyway, let's close it up for tonight. Thank you all for being here and answering all of our crazy questions. I'm sorry that it wasn't like your standard discussion questions. But it was fun nonetheless. It was one of my favorite discussions, I think.
I'm sorry, I did not finish this one again.
Oh, no worries. I don't think I wouldn't even worry about continuing, Laura. I mean, you got all the stuff here, so.
But I kind of want to figure out, like. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just go to Spark Notes. Or Shoop, I think it's called Shoop. Shoop. Oh, okay. Well, I can hear my little one starting to stir, so he's probably hungry. I better get in there and take my shirt off. So. Oh, okay. Well, good night, everyone. We will see you again very soon, I'm sure. But if you're interested in joining us for the August read, that is a pretty short one, so it should be fun. And that is The Summer Book by Tove Jansson. And we'll be discussing that on August 29th. If you're interested in joining us for some reading sprints, we're going to do that next week. So we pushed everything back a week for the discussion. So next week, Tuesday, which is the 8th, we will do some reading sprints. So if you're interested, pop back over here and we'll read together. So that'll be at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll do reading sprints for a couple hours. And then we have 2 weeks off. And then on the 29th, we do live discussion. So, okay. Well, have a great night, everyone, or day, Allie. And we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.